Hello, this is Josh Belk with the Belk on Business podcast. Hope you're having a wonderful day. On today's podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about enhancing brand awareness. Before I walked in here, I was in my office and I had a couple of my employees in there, and an email had come through, and it was a follow up from a webinar I was on last week, and the email came from an individual supposedly, and the individual's name was Miguel, and it was sent to my personal email. And I go through, and the very first line of the email, it says, "Hey, Chris." And it goes through, and glad you were on the webinar last week. Hopefully, yada, yada, yada. Here's a link if you want to know more information, etc. And then it's signed by Terry. So the email was from Miguel to Josh, but the salutation said, "Hey, Chris," and it was signed by Terry. Okay, probably not the best way to reach our customers. And I doubt they're going to get a whole lot of feedback outside of maybe some comedic relief for those who from those who read it, and maybe somebody will respond back to them and respond back to Miguel and explain to him that maybe he needs some help on how he does his content distribution and his email marketing. So that's probably the way not to, I guess that is a way to bring brand awareness, but probably not the brand awareness that they're hoping to receive when you mess up people's names. And that's not one of the 10 points here, but just kind of thought about that before I came in here. So enhancing brand awareness. There's a lot out there right now as far as, people out there talking about SEO optimization and, getting your brand in front of people in that way. And there may be some truth to that, but I'm going to kind of step away from some of those areas that we hear so often. If you're on LinkedIn, you probably get spammed with the messages like this all the time. But what are some areas that we can do? What are some things that we can do to really kind of enhance our brand? And I think before we even get into it, the first thing that we need to do is to understand what is our niche. And understand, are you operating in a blue ocean? You have a very narrow niche where not a whole lot of people are competing with you. Are you out there in red ocean where there's a lot of competitors? But understanding who your target audience is. Who are you trying to reach? Who is your message who are you trying to get your message to? That product or that service. Who are you wanting to get it in front of? Because if you're going out there and you're trying to reach everyone, essentially you're going to sell to no one. Okay, you're not going to really reach anyone. Very, very few people are able to go out there and pretty much they're able to get that brand awareness. So they may be able to get the brand awareness, be able to reach everyone in the way that they want to. But if we're going to enhance our brand awareness and we're going to be effective in getting our brand out there to whom we want to, there are some things that we have to do. The first thing we have to understand is who is that? What is my avatar? What is my niche? Who am I trying to reach? Who am I trying to get this message to? I understand that this particular podcast, we send it out to our list every week, and that's really who I kind of do this for. I really try to help those business owners that are on that list. I'm not trying to reach everyone out there. To understand what the avatar is and really try to be effective in trying to help them. But I want to get that brand in front of them and keep that brand in front of them. But also, I also want to take that next step and get that brand in front of people that I know that we're able to help. So first of all, have you identified your target audience? Have you identified who needs to hear your message, and then taking the next steps of how am I going to get my brand in front of those people? First idea here, social media content really should be short and relevant to your audience. And there are people out there, and I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm not on Instagram or TikTok and some of these others. But I know for the branding for the firm and even for my own personal brand, I really try to keep that clean. And I really try to, and I think for a business to be effective, and so often, especially if we're operating in a business that's more on the personal end, that we need to be really careful with our social media. I'm not out there, posting a bunch of junk on politics and getting into arguments in areas that really can kind of ostracize and turn off people. But really kind of being very purposeful on how I'm putting that social media messaging out. And of course, there's many different opinions on what that should look like. If you listen to Gary Vee, for example, he's out there, put out 40 pieces of content today and all this other stuff. I'm not sure that may be effective for some people. But I think making sure that our messaging that we put out there on social media, if it's of a business nature, that is short, it's relevant, and that is really relevant to the audience that you're trying to reach. I do very little personal on social media, and I do that purposefully. For others, they do a lot out there, but that is a way of brand awareness. If you really want people to know you as a person, to go ahead and put that out there, but just being very purposeful and careful about the information that you put out there. So your social media content, you really should be short and relevant to your audience, whether we're talking as written content or videos or any sort of infographics, to keep them short, on point, and relevant to your target audience. Next, you can use blogs and newsletters to provide longer form content to get into the details of what you've learned and how you can help your target audience. So you can go out there and maybe some of that shorter form content refers to it. You can send out newsletters. I'll mention here a few things that we do here at the firm level, but you can use blogs. You can use newsletters. Those are really good. Mentioned SEO at the front of the podcast. Those are good ways to kind of enhance your SEO. And it's also a good way for you to go through and kind of work through some of the get into the nitty gritty details of understanding what is the information that you're trying to put out there, and then trying to really help your target audience or your clients get them to where they need to be in their businesses, and provide them the steps in order for them to be able to get there. And using blogs and newsletters is an effective way of doing that, and as well as providing information to them. Next, you consider writing articles for industry publications. And so if you have the ability to do that, or somebody on your team that can help you with that, to go out there and really get yourself in front of people by writing articles. And this can be done. It doesn't have to be on a national publication. Maybe you'll find a publication that's really niche to the industry that you're trying to reach. For our firm, for example, my accounting firm, a lot of our clients are in real estate. So there are publications out there that are very real estate heavy. Now, I don't do this, but if I was really wanting to get my brand out there in front of every real estate investor that's out there, I know there are 2 or 3 that I can think of right off the top of my head that, and some of them have come to me before about writing articles, but I could write an article and publish those, or ask to be published in those magazines, and really get in front of a lot more individuals that may be my target audience. Next, make sure you manage your online reputation. And we're all going to get negative reviews from time to time. We're all going to have people out there that are going to not like us, that may not like our messaging, for example, for whatever reason, or maybe they're just operating from a point of jealousy, or maybe they're just trolls. Okay, whatever the case may be. But if you're going to put yourself out there, if you're going to try to increase your brand awareness, if you're going to try to go out there and make an impact, guess what? There are people out there who aren't going to like it. They're going to leave a negative review. I know that the negative reviews that I've received, both personally and for this podcast, as well as on the business end, are from individuals that really don't know me and have never used my services. They're just people out there that just kind of have a bone to pick. Maybe didn't like something that was said, and so they're going to go out there and leave a 1-star review and say something negative. Okay, and we understand that happens. But for other people out there that may be reading those reviews, they may not understand that. So when we go through to manage our online reputation, to really kind of go out there and ask people to leave reviews, to ask people if they've had a good experience, to provide some feedback, and to try to do that publicly. And of course, there are ways you can go about doing this, but there are people out there that go out, they pay to have these reviews, or they pay to have followers and that type of thing, and that's not authentic. And I think that for most people, they're going to be able to read through that. But people who are truly your fans, people who truly are impacted in a positive way by your message, that have used your product or service and have something positive to say, to ask them for those reviews, and so that way you can really kind of help manage your online reputation. I want to encourage us also not to respond to those individuals that may have a negative thing to say. So sometimes just let it be, and let those who have had a positive experience speak on your behalf. Next, speak at events that reach your audience, whether it's a local meetup, or maybe if you have the opportunity to speak on a national stage. I've had the opportunity to do both a number of times. And it's kind of one of those things that if you have the opportunity to go and speak, to bring brand awareness, whether it's to your business, to you personally, take those opportunities. Public speaking isn't one of those things that's very comfortable. It's not a whole lot of fun most of the time. I know personally, I was scared to death to get in front of an audience. I was the one when I was in junior high that hid under the bleachers because I didn't want to do my science fair presentation. I remember the first couple times I was asked to speak, I was scared. I was up there, I was sweating, I was shaking. I've kind of gotten past those fears. There are some people that they may be in their 70s and 80s and have done it for years, and they're still nervous and sweaty and throwing up before they go and speak. But I think I would encourage all of us if we want to increase our brand awareness, and really I think to make us more effective in communicating, as well as making sure that we truly understand our product and our service and the messaging that we do get in front of others and speak. Once again, whether it's at the local chamber meeting or a local meetup group, or if you have the opportunity to speak on a more regional or national level, to take those opportunities and to polish that craft. And when you get in front of an audience like that, you are, at that point, you are the expert. Whether you think you are or you're not, you're going to be put up there as the expert in your field. And that's really going to be a good thing for your brand and for your reputation. Next, you can go about producing educational videos and webinars. So you can put that information out there. Of course, the market's kind of flooded with those things right now, but to make sure that they're done well, they're reaching your target audience. And I was on a webinar this last week, and actually the email I received was a follow-up from it. And it was all on, kind of these wealth strategies and all this other type of thing. And so I was on for, probably 50 minutes. And it was all just kind of a lead gen. And I walked away with absolutely nothing. It was awful. And I didn't pay for it or anything, but I kind of went through with kind of a bad taste. And some of the information that they gave was just wrong. They simply didn't know what they were talking about. They were just simply trying to sell. If that's the information you're putting out there, you're not going to have an effective business in the long term. You're just going to kind of be viewed as a snake oil salesman, okay? So to make sure that the content we're putting out there, if we're doing educational videos, that we know what we're talking about, if we're putting webinars out there, if we're doing those types of things, that we truly are bringing value. We aren't just looking for a sale. Okay, and kind of going back to understanding that we want to always bring value first. Gary Vee talks about, the whole jab, right hook. I heard a line this last week as far as give before we ask. And I think when we're going through and we're providing content, we're doing educational videos, even webinars, that we're doing a lot of giving before we ever ask, to bring the value in a multiple long before you ever ask for your business for another business or individual to do business with you. Next idea, something else you can do is you can sit on an advisory board. I've been asked to do this a number of times, and this is another way that you can really help to bring value, to make an impact on others, and also to bring brand awareness as well. You can host a podcast. That's what this is all about. Most podcasts don't make money, to be honest with you. I'd heard a statistic a number of times here over the last few months that most podcasts don't even get past the 4th episode, and I think we're on, I don't know what number has this been? It's 122, I think, 123 that we're recording, and so we've been doing this now for I guess close to 3 years, and it's a lot of work. But you know what? It's a great way to get your messaging out there. And if you're consistent at it, this particular podcast doesn't have thousands of people that listen to it, whatever the case may be. But going back to that first point, really do this to try to reach the people that do business with us and potential people that would like to do business with us. And also just to try to bring value to anyone that wants to listen in, to really try to make an impact. That's the point of doing the podcast. But it is a great way to bring brand awareness, as well as this last one, and that's writing a book. Something that I started on, and to be honest with you, I haven't finished it, and I haven't picked it up in a long time. It is hard to do. And I know it's kind of built ultimate respect for anybody who's gone out and have done this. But if you host a podcast, you write a book, you do those types of things, it's going to really bring not just brand awareness, but really, once again, put you out there as the expert. And I can't tell you how many times that kind of mentioned, oh, by the way, I have a podcast. Oh, yeah, what is it? And they pick their phone out and they subscribe to it right then and there, and they give you a listen. It's a wonderful way for you to go out there to get your message out there instead of one-to-one in a one-to-many platform. So once again, my name is Josh Belk, and just a podcast on a few ideas here on increasing your brand awareness. Hopefully this brought you some value. I'm going to ask you, if you haven't already, please consider leaving us a review, subscribe to the podcast. Have a wonderful day.